Imagine a world without water, a world where you turn on your tap and nothing happens. And we're within 10 years of that. There are actually 3,810 locations in the United States with more lead in their water than Flint, Michigan. So I set out to democratize water quality data. Entrepreneurship to me is 21st century activism. Right? What do you do when the march is over? If you're in the street after everybody has gone home, the cameras have left. What's left is the businesses that we build, it's the jobs that we create, it's the legacy that we leave. And if more people that look like me get access to resources, we're gonna solve problems that other people might not solve. And I believe that's how we change the world. Water is something that affects all of us, but it disproportionately negatively impacts communities of color. So I think that my background has really informed my work, though I had no idea this is where I would end up. Growing up in Atlanta, I was always surrounded by leaders who looked just like me. So I grew up really believing that anything was possible. My dad was an amazing person. He worked for NASA back in the Neil Armstrong days as a statistician. So he's my own version of Hidden Figures, I guess. So when I grew up, I was a singer, songwriter, performer, model, but also a scholar, and ended up going to Harvard. I didn't know that it was strange to use both sides of my brain that way. Later on in my life, when I started studying water, was around the same time that my dad actually got sick. He had retired and moved to a new house, small town, and nothing had really changed, his lifestyle or diet, but his zip code. And all of a sudden, they're like, oh, he has diabetes and all these other health complications. And we were really trying to understand what was going on. And it turned out, I just stumbled upon a report linking arsenic in the local water supply to the health outcomes that he was experiencing. But by that time, his health had taken a turn for the worse. So in 2017, he actually passed away from kidney complications related to water. And it made me think, how many of us are being exposed to really disturbing health impacts because of our water, and we don't know it. And so 2 weeks after his funeral, I started this company. And I think in a lot of ways, I'm honoring my dad's legacy with the work that I do with Aquagenuity. We are basically the Google search for water quality. This work started for me back in 2016 when Flint hit national and international headlines because 100,000 residents and their families are being poisoned by the water coming out of their taps. And most people don't realize how bad it was. The amount of lead in that water was twice the amount that would be considered toxic waste. So everybody was, rightfully so, mad at the governor, marching in the streets, and they saw it kind of as a political issue, but I'm a data scientist. And so I saw it as a data problem and a problem around inequity. People that needed information about what was in that water didn't have it, but it was also about class, right? This community just happened to be predominantly Black, happened to be a lower income community who just, for some reason, we couldn't do anything about this infrastructure. I really set out to find out what was going on and why that was happening, and I discovered that there are actually 3,810 locations in the United States with more lead in their water than Flint, Michigan, which is crazy. We just think somebody's monitoring that our water's fine, but actually our water's not fine. There are a few gaps in what the EPA tests for. Chromium-6 is not regulated by the EPA, and it's been found in water systems across all 50 states. I mean, this is something we know causes cancer, right? And it's in your water, and nobody's breaking the law. It's what it is. So we basically live in a world where humans are the sensors that are alerting us to water quality problems. So we decided to figure out a way to make it as easy to check your water as it is to check the weather, and make it possible for any citizen to safely answer the question, what's in your water, even if you don't have a degree in chemistry or environmental engineering. Young, Black, female, solving a really big problem. All of those things kind of came together to be what should have been a perfect storm as to why I shouldn't try to do this in the first place. I think just dealing with those perceptions, but knowing that, whatever, I'm a badass, I can handle it. Hashtag humanity over everything. It's really this idea that we all have a right to know what's in the food we eat, the air we breathe, and the water we drink. This is not up for debate. It's not based on who's in office, Republican, Democrat, red, blue, black, white. None of that matters. elevate humanity over all of those other factors. I see myself as leading a movement, what I call guardians of H2O. Like if all of us do our part in big ways or small, I think we can shift the planet, tilt the needle a little bit. If I'm able to build Aquagenuity into a multi-billion-dollar multinational company, I can take those resources and reinvest it in these communities that have been forgotten. Like I always say, this is how we change the world. By 2030, according to the United Nations, there'll be a 40% greater demand for clean water than there is supply for the first time in human history. And I'm really passionate about finding ways to solve that, to get ahead of that. Those underserved communities will be suffering the most, and I can't allow that to happen on my watch. So we're on a mission to make sure that people have the data they need, get access to the resources that they need so that they can protect themselves, protect their family's health. And if we all work together as guardians of H2O, maybe we can help extend the life of the planet.